Hello and welcome to my review of the first big post-launch PS5 exclusive Returnal. Before we get to the tech side of things, let's talk about the game itself for a second. Returnal is a wide genre mix with elements of roguelikes, third-person shooters and bullet hell shooters, with the latter being no surprise because that's basically what developer Housemarque did for years. The aesthetics reminded me a lot of the Alien franchise, and there's also a little similarity with some of the stages in Remnant from the Ashes. A lot of the time I also had to think of Metroid Prime with the abilities you get over time, which open up new areas, and also the art style of the planet itself, with all the statues and aggressive fauna and so on. Visually, I don't got much to complain about. There's an insane amount of particles in basically every fight scene, the art style is atmospheric and you never lose track of things because of the clear color scheme of projectiles and enemies. It's also the first game where I really like to use the adaptive triggers of the DualSense controller. There's a little physical barrier between base fire mode and alternative fire, which is absolutely intuitive and it works great. But what about frame rate? The game targets 60 FPS and can hit it for most of the time, but it really depends on the stage you are in. There are random generated elements which can cause some blips in terms of frame rate, but it's rarely more than 5 FPS. The only problems I encountered while playing happened in stage 3, where the dimensions of the rooms are a lot more open and the stage is built around quick travel mechanics. So it seems more like a data streaming or loading issue. The game just seems a little more unstable in these situations. In every other stage, the frame rate only drops when there's a lot of particles that have to be drawn, but yeah, the frame rate rarely drips under 55 FPS, so it's not really a factor in these moments and you don't really feel it. In stage 2 I also encountered some issues with the minimap stuttering a lot when a giant area is drawn. Also, reflections seem to be some kind of issue. This could be due to a low frame rate for reflected animations, as the game uses real-time reflections in this case, but I'm not really sure, it just seems a bit out of place. In terms of resolution, I counted 1080p or slightly above internally. Housemarque confirmed this to Digital Foundry, it's 1080p upscaled to 1440p via Unreal Engine's TAA, and then it gets checkerboarded to 4K. It does an okayish job. The game looks absolutely clear on 1080p, but it lags a bit in 4K, where it just seems kinda blurry a bit around the edges of objects. The TAA doesn't do the best job, but it's okay. All in all, I can definitely recommend Returnal to every fan of sci-fi horror who is at least decently resistant to frustration, because the roguelike elements can be soul-crushing from time to time and the game isn't really easy. It's not insanely hard per se. I first tried a lot of bosses and got through with less than 50 deaths in like 30 hours. But I'm also experienced with the genres and got the hang of the game really quickly, so it can be different for you. You should at least take it into consideration when buying the full price of 80 euros or $70. It's not for everyone. I also think that the price is a little too high because on the tech side, Housemarque doesn't do anything too wild. It's a solid Unreal Engine 4 game, and definitely not in the same production value league as, let's say, the Demon's Souls remake. I'd even say that the game lags in the second and third stage a lot because they are pretty monotone, generic and just bland looking. But you know, the second half of the game makes up for it, and it's insanely fun. But yeah, it's not everyone will have the same amount of fun with it, I'm pretty sure. So that concludes my review of Returnal. I wish you all a great day, stay healthy, and until next time, bye bye!